Welcome back, CAD 37 CATIA surfacing class. Today we're going to go over our third video for swept surfaces. So our first video was an intro, second video was explicit profiles. Don't forget, explicit is when you actually physically pick a profile, right? Implicit is when in the background CATIA will generate a linear, circular, or conic profile. The first option is explicit. That was the previous video. Now we're going to do linear, circular, and conic we're going to skip. Now some of you may not have this option because you have the limited CATIA surfacing license of generative shape design. You're going to need the more advanced one, the more expensive one, the XD2 or 2DX license. I forget the name of that license. All right, so let's go ahead and do linear. So let's go back. Okay, so we have linear profiles. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the same file we used on the previous video for explicit. Okay, so let's go ahead and download it. And let's go ahead and open it. Okay, so we are using the same video as we used for explicit. Remember, explicit, we physically pick a profile. This time we're not going to physically pick one. Okay, so let me hide these geosets. I'll keep the first one on. And I'm going to insert my own geoset. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and use linear implicit, right? Meaning we don't see the line. All right, so let's go back to the tutorial. Okay, so we opened the file already. So we're going to use line profile. So we're going to pick this icon, right, for a linear profile, a line that we actually don't see. We're going to select two limits. So from the drop down, two limits. And we're going to pick our guide curves. So here's a preview. So we're going to pick our guide curves shown here. And CATIA is going to generate a line in the background to then create the swept surface. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to CATIA. Okay, so we're going to use sweep. Once again, it's below or next to the offset command. So let's go to sweep. Okay, so our previous video we did explicit, meaning we pick our profile. This time we're not. We're going to go with linear. So in the background, CATIA will generate a line. Okay, we're going to go with two limits. So our two limits are going to be our guide curves. Okay, so let's go to the tutorial. So we're going to use the same guide curves we used earlier in the previous video to generate this surface. And this surface is going to extend 20 millimeters beyond the second video. Okay, so that's 20 millimeters on this side, 0 on this side. Okay, so those are our lengths beyond our guide curves. All right, so let's go ahead and generate this surface. Okay, so let's pick these as our limits. Okay, so guide curve number 1, we'll pick demo guide number 1, right? Guide curve number 2, we'll pick demonstration guide number 2. Notice we don't pick a profile. We're not going to pick a profile. It's going to generate a line in the background on its own. Okay, so let's see what we get. Oh, see this minus 60? Let's change this to 20 millimeters. Forgot to bring that up. So we're going to overextend 20 beyond the second guide curve and 0 beyond the guide curve 1. Okay, so hit preview. And there's our swept surface. And close. Notice it's flat. Actually, it's not actually flat because this curve here is actually not on the same plane as the other one. Okay, so these two guide curves don't happen to be on the same plane, so it's not quite a flat. It's actually not a flat surface. It has a little bit of a curve to it. As you can see, it's not a flat surface. Okay, so in the background, what it does is it's taking a line and it's generating it. So it's a line that's sweeping across. Okay, so imagine just like taking a line and drawing an infinite number of lines from point to point, from one guide curve to another, and it's generating this surface. Now, even though it's not a flat surface, it's still using a linear profile that we don't see. It's in the background, and it's just sweeping it across between these two guide curves. And this is the result that we get. Okay, so nice, beautiful surface. And okay, if it fails to generate the surface, then you may need to add a spine. So something simple, even on a fuselage, when I was working on a fuselage, it wouldn't generate the conic surface, so I would have to pick a spine to help it guide it along. Okay, so looks like I got my guide curves backwards, right? We didn't quite get that same result. Let's go back. So it's actually extending beyond the other one. So it looks like we got our guide curves mixed up. It's okay. We're still going to get the full credit for this tutorial. Okay, so let me double click on this surface. So it looks like guide curve 1 and 2 should be swapped, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and make the first length 0, the second one 20. So it can look like the picture in the tutorial and preview. There it is. And there's a warning, hey, double check. And okay, now it looks like the picture in the tutorial. Yep, there it is. Okay, limit and middle. Okay, second option. Okay, so we're going to do another swept surface. Again, linear. We're going to stick with linear, and we're going to go with limit and middle. Okay, so limit and middle. So we're going to use a limit guide curve and a middle limit, and then it's going to create this surface, and in the background it'll have a line in the background that we don't see. Okay, and it's going to generate this surface, so we're going to use the blue line and the yellow line, okay, to create this swept surface. We're just using different inputs. Okay, where is that blue line? Let's see, is it in the background? I'm assuming it's going to be this blue line, so let me turn this back on. Demo spine. I'm not sure if this is the blue line. Let me go ahead and unhide it. It looks blue on the tutorial, right? Okay, so let me take this surface and hide it. But before I do, let me give it some color. Right-click Properties. So I'm going to create a new one. Let's make it blue. Oh, I accidentally only did one patch. Let me hit undo, Control Z. So this is made up of 2 patches. Even though we created a nice surface, it created 2 patches. Later on, we'll learn how to fix things like this, where it's just one surface and not 2 patches. All right, so let me actually go to the swept surface on the tree, sweep number 1 that we created. Right click, Properties, so it'll do the entire surface. Let's go with blue or whatever color you want. Oh, still creating it. Let me hit undo one more time, Control Z, undo. Let me deselect, click and space, deselect, hit escape on the keyboard, right click, Properties. So I right clicked on the tree, sweep number 1 that we just created and make it blue. And there it is. Okay, so I had actually physically clicked on the model when I went right click Properties, so it only did one patch, but now it did the whole thing, blue. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do a new sweep. I'm assuming this is the blue line we're using. Okay, it doesn't seem to specify exactly which one. So we'll just use the blue one. It's okay if it's wrong. Doesn't matter. We're still going to practice this command. All right, so, and we're going to use this guide curve. So this blue line has a point here. Okay, looks like it's going to be used as a limiter. don't see that point. Oh, maybe because it's hidden. All right, so let's go from this blue line to this curve or vice versa. But let me hide this blue surface. Hide it. All right, so let's go to sweep. And we'll pick the limit and middle option. Okay. So we're going to use this as our guide curve. And we're going to use for our middle, we're going to use this blue line. If we pick a different one, it's okay. We're not going to get the exact same result, but we'll get something out of it. And click and hit preview. And there it is. Okay, so this is the halfway point. So the middle, the blue line is the halfway point. We're not getting quite exactly what's in the picture. But as you can see, it's drawing a line. Let's accept this, okay. So what it's doing, it's drawing a line normal to this guide curve. So a line normal off of this point, connecting to this blue line. Same thing on this one. So it's taking this point, projecting it perpendicular to the blue line, and it generates a line, and it sweeps it across. Okay, so if you're wondering why it's tapering, that's why. It's taking this point, projecting it perpendicular to our blue line, and then connecting the 2 points to make a line. Same thing on this side, and we get this surface. We didn't quite get what's on the tutorial, but that's good enough. Okay, let me go into the background. Just making sure there was not another blue line back there. Nope, don't see one. It's okay. Okay, so there it is. Let's go ahead and go back to the tutorial. Oh, you know what? I got it backwards. Ta-da! I'm saying ta-da because I can already visualize. So this was our guide curve, and this was the middle. Okay, so I need to reverse the guide curve in the middle. So I didn't pick him in the right order. Let's go back. Okay, so let's double click on the surface. So our guide curve is going to be the blue line, and our middle is going to be the curved line. And preview, and now it looks like the ta-da! It looks like the tutorial. And okay, there it is. It's okay, we're learning something new. Just like I'm stumbling along and learning, so are you. Learn from my mistakes, right? Okay, so there it is. Now it looks like the tutorial. Okay, so let's move on to the next one with reference surface. Okay, so let's see. Are we actually using a reference surface? Okay, so with reference surface. Okay, so we are going to use a surface as a reference. I think it's for orientation, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so we're going to use a yellow line, an existing surface to generate our sweep. Okay, so let me Control Z to zoom out a little bit. Control Z and roll the wheel to zoom in and out. Okay, so let's duplicate this. Let's attempt to duplicate this swept surface. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so let me give this one a different color. Let me click and space deselect it, escape to deselect. Right click properties, give it a different color. I'll give it a green color. There it is. Okay, let's go ahead and hide it. You know what, let me turn off this neon lights view lighting. Let's go to one light. Okay, there it is. We can always turn on the neon lights once we are ready to analyze the surface, see how clean it is by the reflection lights. Okay, so let's go ahead and hide this one. Okay, go to the background. So it looks like we're supposed to use this blue. Actually, that's the one we just created. Let's see, are we using the one we just created or this one? Maybe we're going to use this one right here. Okay, so let me unhide some of these geosets. Okay, I'm going to hide this extrude. Okay, so it looks like we're using this one, extrude number 2, as our reference surface. Okay, so let's do it over again, or let's do a new one, a new sweep, sweep number 3. Notice how this geoset is underlined. Right click, define. So any new geometry you create will drop into this geoset or this branch. All right, so it looks like we are going to use this surface. All right, so let's go back to the tutorial. Yeah, it looks like that's the surface, and we're going to use this line to generate this new surface. So this is our new swept surface. So we're going to go with reference surface, 90 degrees, length 20. Okay, so let's go ahead and attempt that. Okay, so let's go with swept surface. Okay, we're going to go down to the next option, third option with reference surface. Okay, so I think this is the guide curve, demo guide number 3. And we're going to use this as our reference surface. Click. And we're going to type in, I believe it was 90 degrees for our angle. Let's go back and double check. Yep, 90 degrees and a length of 20. Okay, let's go with length of 20 for the first one, 0 for the second one. Okay, so we have our surface, we have our guide curve, we have our angle and our length preview. Whoa, okay, it's not exactly like the video or the tutorial visual. Okay, that's okay. Let's go to next option. So there's more than one result. So notice how we have this next option. Hit next, preview. Okay, that kind of looks like the tutorial now. Maybe not the exact same length, but there it is. Next, there's another option, preview. Same one, next, preview, next, preview, next, preview. Okay, that's better. Okay, we can increase the length, whichever length you want. Okay, there it is. So there's our new surface. Okay, so now it looks kind of like the tutorial, right? There it is. Looks like they used a different angle. Let's see, let's go to angle here. What angle are they asking us to use? I'm assuming it's 45 degrees. Okay, so if I double click on it, make this 45 degrees and preview. Oh, wrong direction. Let's go to next, preview. There it is. So click next until you get the one you're looking for. Okay, and okay. And let's make it the same color as, oh, I didn't mean to hide it. Show, let's make it the same color as the visual. Okay, let's use blue for the surface. Let's use a lighter blue. Let's just go with the blue we have here. Okay, now it looks like the tutorial. All right. So that was linear. Okay, with reference curve. So now we're going to go down to the next option. So we're still in linear with reference curve. 90 degrees, 20 millimeters. Okay, with reference curve. Okay, so we're going to use, looks like it's guide number 1 to create this one. All right, so let's go ahead and for our reference, we're going to use this one. It seems. Okay, so it looks like this is the guide curve and this is the reference curve. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and hide these right here. Let me double check. Yep, it's this line and this one. Okay, so let me hit escape, deselect. Let's do sweep again. And go to reference curve. Okay, so we're going to use this as our guide curve. And this one as our, so we're using guide 1 as our guide curve. And we're going to use guide number 2, demo guide 2 as our reference curve. Okay, and let's leave it at 45 degrees, length 40, and preview. Okay, there it is. It looks similar. All right, so we're using this line as our guide, and this one is our reference to generate this surface. Okay, and we chose an angle of 45, and we can always hit next to see what other results we have. And next, preview, and next, preview. Okay, and next, preview. Okay, and there it is. So there's our surface. Close and OK. Okay, so we got that done. Let's go ahead and keep going along the next one. With tangency surface. Okay, with tangency, this one I do use quite a bit, this option. Not only with swept surfaces, but multi-section lofting, which we'll cover in a different video. All right, so with tangency. Okay, so it looks like we're going to use the extruded surface on this one. Okay, so let's go back. Let me hide this surface. And let's go to the background. I'm guessing we're using this extruded surface from that visual. Okay, so this is extrude number 3. Okay, and it looks like we're going to use this line here shown in black. Let me change the color because it's hard to see. Right click properties. So I'm going to take this translate to, which is this black line here, and I'm going to change it over to something we can see. Let's go with, I'm going to go with cyan. I'm going to make it thicker. Okay, so we're using translate number 2. So it looks like it was translated off of this one, number 1. So it looks like this line was generated first and translated over to here, and then translated over to here, and that's translate number 2. All right, so we're gonna create a surface tangent to our extruded surface, and it's gonna also start at this line. So in your case, this line is black. I changed it to cyan. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and try and duplicate what we see here. Okay, so let's go ahead and create those surfaces with the tangent to surface option. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to swept or sweep command. Go down to tangent surface with tangency surface, and we're going to pick this line. Translate number 2, which is found in GeoSet 1, right? GeoSet 1, translate number 2, and our tangency surface is this extruded surface, extrude number 3. And preview, bam, there it is, ta-da! So it's giving us 2 options. So it's saying, hey, there's 2 solutions. Which one do you want? Hey, I can go next, right? If you want this portion. So with the one shown in orange is the one that it'll keep. You can either go to next or physically click on the one you want to keep. So if we click on this one, that'll turn orange. You also have the option to trim off the excess. Let's first accept it and see what we get. And then we'll come back and turn on the trim option. So hit OK. And there's that surface, right? There it is. Okay, so let's go to the surface we just created and just double click on it from the tree or physically on the model. Double click and say, okay, you know what? Let's keep the other side. Next. And let's trim off the excess. Trim. and preview. No preview. Okay, hit OK. And there it is. It trimmed off the excess. And this is just a warning. Are you sure this is what you want? Yeah, I'll accept it. Okay, so we kept this portion of the extrude. If we go back, double click, and say, no, I want to keep the other side. Next. And OK. So this is just a warning once again. It kept this portion of the extrude. So it did 2-in-1 commands. It created the swept surface, and then it trimmed off the excess. Okay, so it's 2 commands in one. By picking that trim option, it removed the excess that we didn't want. Okay, so there it is. Okay, let's move along. Next one. Okay, as you can see, there's just so many options. Okay, so we have the draft direction. Okay, so you want to draft in a certain direction. (20 millimeters in length). Okay, whoa, which ones are these here? Let me go back. It's too confusing. I may have to skip this one. Okay, so we're going to use line profile with direction. If I can't make out this picture, we'll just pick anything. Okay, so it does explain here which elements to pick. From GeoSet 2, we're going to pick the pink line. The blue line is a guide. Oh, this is a whole lot of stuff going on here on this one. So we'll just try it or pick something, see what we get. All right. Okay, so we're going to pick a plane for direction. We're going to draft. Do you want a square, a cone? How do you want to define it? G1 constant. Remember we talked about curvature continuity on the lecture. So G1, tangent continuity. G2 would be curvature continuous. G0 would be a crease on the surface. Okay, let's just go ahead and attempt this. Okay, so we have cyan and blue and green and yellow. Let's see. Let me hide this. Let's go into the background. Are there any other curves here? No. That we're going to use? Don't think so. Okay, so let's go ahead and if you want to follow the tutorial, go for it and read all the options here. Go for it. I'm just going to attempt and see what we can get out of this. I'm just going to guess and pick something. Okay, so sweep. Okay, draft with direction. Okay, so pick a guide curve. Let me pick this one. And for direction, let me pick the Z direction. Let's go Z. Right click, go to Z. I'm going to angle it at 0 and preview. Okay, so we're going with direction. So I can pick a plane, or I can pick an axis, or I can pick a line. Okay, and we have, if we go to the second tab, we have a G0 constant here. I'm going to take G1. Different types here. We go back to wholly defined. Okay, and let's see what we get when we pick another option. Next, preview. Get the same thing. Next, preview. Next, preview. So we can only get 2 options if it's 0 degrees. Let's try 45 degrees for the angle. Next, next, preview. Next, preview. Next, preview. Next, preview. All right, we're not getting exactly the same thing as what we see here. Let's see, do we have a curved line? Let's pick a curved line. Okay, I'm going to pick this yellow line instead. So instead of translate to, let me go back to guide curve 1 and pick this one, which is demo guide number 2, and preview. Okay. So just to demonstrate that you can pick a direction using Z, you can also use a plane, Z-axis, Y-axis, any linear direction, any line, I should say, for direction. And okay. There it is. It sweeps it with respect to the Z direction at a 45-degree angle with respect to that Z axis. All right, so let's move on. Didn't get quite exactly what the picture is showing us here. Okay, with two tangency surfaces. Okay, with two tangency surfaces. Okay, so here we have two surfaces, and we're going to create a sweep going across. So we're going to create this middle surface that's tangent to these two surfaces, right? Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so let's go to with two tangent surfaces. Okay, so let's go back. Let me hide this. Okay. Looking for the surfaces we're supposed to use. Let's see, I don't see it. It's supposed to be a separate file. Let me go back. Maybe I was supposed to open up a separate file. Oh, there's a sweep 5. I forgot about that, right? Sweep 5, was there another one before here? Oh, there was a sweep 6, so I missed this one. Sweep 6, right? So the reason I didn't get the same one for this one is because it's a different file. Okay, so sorry, class. Sorry for wasting your time, but that's okay. Let's go to sweep 6. Open the file. So here it was the whole time. Okay, let me change the background. Oh, you know what? Instead of changing the background, let me change the color. So there was the blue line the whole time. Let me turn it to cyan. So we were actually being asked to use this one with direction. So I had to taking a step back. Take a step back. Let's go back to sweep. Second to the last, draft with direction. Okay, so let's pick the curve. And for direction, I'll just pick the Z at 30 degrees. Okay, and preview. Doesn't seem to be long enough. Let's go to next, preview. No, not exactly what I'm looking for. Instead of Z, let me pick X, preview. Still not what I was looking for. Let's go to Y, preview. Okay, maybe I need to increase the length on this one. Oh, my mistake. The reason I can't see it is because this geoset is hidden. See this? That's the reason I can't see it. Right click, show. There it is. Okay. I'm glad this happened because this is very common. It's like, how come I can't see the surface? It's because I forgot to insert my new geoset and this one was hidden. Okay, so there it is. Now I can see the surface. Okay, let's go back to direction. Let's pick Z direction, preview. There it is. Okay. All right, so learn from my mistakes. Next, is there a different option? Yep, different solution. Yes, preview. Okay, so that's sweet. Okay, and that's as far as we're going to take this one. All right, so let's go on to the next one. All right, so we're going to go to the last option. If you want to play with these options, go for it. Using different lengths. Okay, we're going to go to the last one. Okay, so sweep number 5. Let's go ahead and open that one. Sweep number 5 to do with two tangent surfaces. Let's go ahead and open that one. Okay, so here we have our two surfaces. Okay, and we're going to join them with this swept surface. So we're going to go tangent to these two surfaces. Okay, so let's go ahead and do sweep. And let's go ahead and go to the last option with two surfaces. Okay, so let's pick our two surfaces. Oh, it's asking for a spine. Let's see what are we going to use as our spine? Once again, I forgot to insert my geoset. I'm just going to continue on. Okay, so if we follow the instructions here. Okay, so we're going to go with two surfaces. Select a spine. It doesn't tell us what spine to select, right? So we'll pick a line. Let's do it without a spine first, see if it'll generate it. Okay, so I'm going to skip the spine option. Make sure you go all the way down to two surfaces. Go to first surface. I'll pick this as my first surface. This one is my second. And hit preview. Oh, it's not giving me the preview option, so it's waiting for me to pick a spine. So since we're sweeping in this direction, I'm going to go with the Y direction. If that doesn't work, I'll try the X direction, perpendicular. All right, so let's try Y direction for the spine. Right click, Y direction. Now I can get a preview. Nope, didn't like it. Okay, let's pick the X direction. Right click for spine, X direction, preview. And this time it did work. Okay, so there's our surface. Hit OK. Ta-da! So we got our swept surface. Notice how it's tangent. Again, we're still going with linear. We're still with the linear option. Let's double click. We're still using the linear option. Tangent to two surfaces, as you can see. Beautiful, right? And we have the trim option. Hey, I want to trim off the excess. Trim off the excess and preview. No preview and OK. And there it is. It removed the excess. It gives us the warning. Double check this is what you want. And there it is. Okay, so that's linear. All right, so I know this is a long video. Let's go over to circular now. Maybe I should do a separate video for the circular. All right, so let's go to implicit, and we're going to go with the circular one. Right click, copy. Okay, let me Control V and paste. Enter. Okay, so circular. Oh, we're going to go back to the first sweep. And that's where we're going to use the surfaces. All right, great. We're going to create some of these swept surfaces using the circular option. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so circular sweeps. Circular profile, so this is implicit, right? So let me go ahead and save these files. Okay, so I'm going to save it on the desktop. Creating surfaces, and this is for the implicit. Linear. Complete. And save. Go ahead and close it. Do the same thing with this one. File, save as, complete. Implicit, linear. Close this one. And finally this one. Let's go ahead and save it. If you want to turn on your swept surfaces before saving it, go for it. All right, so let's let's go ahead and close this now, because we're going to use some of these same files. So I'm closing them because we're going to use some of them, some of the same files to do our circular implicit sweeps. All right, so circular. Okay, so we're going to use the same CATIA file, sweep number 1. Let's go ahead and open that. Okay, so we did linear. Now we're going to do circular. Again, we don't see the arc or the circle. Okay, let's go ahead and follow the tutorial. Okay, so we're going to use circular profile, implicit, and we're going to use 3 guide curves. Okay, so 3 guide curves on this one, okay, to generate our surface. So we're going to use guide curve number 1, guide curve number 2, number 3, and then it's going to look almost like a tube. And again, we don't have the arc. We don't have the profile. It'll automatically generate a profile that is circular in the background. Okay, so we're going to use these 3 guide curves, and we may need a spine. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick these 3 guide curves from our CATIA file. Let me hide some of this stuff that I don't know if we're going to use. I'll hide some of these geosets and go ahead and insert our own geoset. Okay, so we're going to use the yellow curves to create our circular sweep. Okay, so let's go to sweep. Okay, so this time we're going to go with circular, and we're going to go with 3 guide curves. Okay, so 3 guide curves. So we'll pick the 3 yellow curves. Okay, so let's go. It doesn't matter which order. Click, click. Shouldn't matter which order. There it is. We have our 3 guide curves, just like in the picture. Okay, and then we're going to hit preview. 3, 2, 1, preview. Ta-da! Warning, close. That's our swept surface. So what it's doing is, it's a circular profile that's changing in radius as it travels along the 3 guides. Okay, so it's creating arcs from one guide curve to another, and it's projecting the points normal. So this point projects perpendicular to this curve. See how this point here doesn't project over because there's nothing here to support it. So this point here on this curve is projecting perpendicular till it hits this one. Same thing on the opposite side. This point on this guide curve number 1, is projecting over perpendicular till it hits this guide curve number 3. Notice how guide curve number 3, this point has nowhere to project. This one is not long enough. So that's the reason we get this short surface, which is fine. Okay, so you can see we get a tube shape. If it didn't give us the surface, we can always pick a spine, right? We can always go to spine and go with the linear curve or an axis. So let's see what happens if we pick a spine and preview. It swept it a little differently. It's actually going a lot more straighter. All right, so that is a circular sweep with 3. And okay, with 3 guide curves. And okay, there it is. And it goes through all 3 guide curves. All right, let's go ahead and hide this surface. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so we generated our surface. Okay, so now this time we're gonna go with 2 guide curves and a radius. So this time we're going to type in the radius. Okay, so we're going to use the same guide curves except the middle one, and we're going to type in a radius. What radius are we going to use? 20. If 20 doesn't work, we'll try something different. Okay, so let's go ahead and duplicate this image here. Okay, so we're going to try and get this image here that we see. Going back. Okay, so same command, sweep. Make sure you pick the circular, and we'll go to the second option, 2 guides and radius. So let's pick these two guides. We'll ignore the middle one, right? We're only using two guides, and we're going to type in 20 for our radius. 20. All right, and click away. Okay, and we can hit preview. All right, so I clicked away. It's using guide 2 as our spine. Why guide 2? Because that's the first curve I selected. Okay, we can always change our spine. Okay, so let's hit preview in 3, 2, 1, preview. There's no solution. Oh, it doesn't like it. Close. Okay, so 20 may be maybe too small, a radius, or maybe it doesn't like the spine or a combination. All right, so let me change the spine first. Let me go with this line, this yellow guide, or this yellow curve, which is linear. Let me change the spine to this one. There it is. And let's try preview again. Preview. It doesn't like it. Okay, so it's telling us something's wrong. It could be that the radius is too small. Let me try 200 millimeters. Preview. Bam, there it is. So 20 was too small. That was the issue. And close. Okay, so now we get something. Okay, instead of 20, let me go to 30. Let's see if it accepts 30. Preview. Nope, too small. Close. Let me try 40. Preview. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so 20 was too small. Okay, so it seems to like 20 for the radius. At least for the two guide curves I chose. Maybe the user or the creator of this tutorial maybe use these two curves. That could be the reason why 20 wasn't working for me. But it seems like we did pick the right ones. All right, so notice there's 6 solutions saying, hey, there's 6 solutions. Some of them are repeating themselves, but you can say, hey, no, I don't like this one. Go to next. Actually, see, it's giving us this solution. Actually, so there are a bunch of solutions. Next, giving us this one. That one. Next, this one. The entire thing, right? Or a partial or lower. Let's go to previous. Let's go ahead and shuffle through all of them. Option number 1. So they're telling us there are 6 solutions. Pick one. This one. That one. This one. This one. This one. Or that one. Let's stick to the last one. So based on our parameters, our input, our numbers, our radius, etc., our spine, it's given us 6 different solutions, and they all happen to intersect the guide curves, and they all happen to have a radius of 40. And okay, and there it is. This is the warning. Are you sure this is which one? Yeah, sure, why not? Okay, so there it is. You can see it. It has a radius of 40, and it follows those 2 guide curves. All right, that's it for that one. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, center and 2 angles. Center and 2 angles. Okay, so we're going to select the center curve and reference angle curve. Okay, so we're going to go to this guide curve and this middle one. We're going to ignore the other one. So which one is the reference? Okay, so here it is. Center curve will be guide 1, angle off of guide 3. Okay, so we're going to use this as our input. And here's our angles. Okay, we don't have to type in these numbers, or select these curves. If you want to choose something different, go for it. Okay, so let's hide this one. Okay, so it seems like they're using these 2. Oh, let me go back. Yep, looks like they're using this one and this one. All right, so let's go to sweep again, circular. Let's pick 2 guides. Oh, which one was it? Center and 2 angles. Center and 2 angles. Okay, so I believe this one is our center. I believe this one's our guide. And they're telling us to use angle 50 degrees and 0. Okay, so we'll type in an angle of 50. And click away. Now we can do a preview. And there it is. Okay, close. So it's sweeping at an angle of 50, right? Let's see if I didn't get these mixed up. Let's go back. That looks like we got it right. Okay, so we got our guide curve and our center curve, our reference curve too, angle off of at 50 degrees. Again, it's circular. Let's increase this. Let's go to a large angle. Let's go 120 and preview, giving us a warning, close, and there's our circular swept surface. Okay, we can go a lot longer, or a larger angle, I should say. Let's go 270, see what we get on this one, see if it accepts it. 270. And preview, and yes it does. There's the warning again, like always. Okay. Okay, so that's our circular swept surface. Okay. And let's go on to the next one. Center and radius. Okay, this is similar to a cylinder. Okay, so we're going to create a cylinder using the swept command. So we need a guide curve, or a center axis, center curve, and a radius. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and select we're going to select this curve, center curve and radius. Let me make sure I pick the right stuff. So center and radius. Or is this the center? I'm having trouble seeing what the center is here. Our center is guide number 3. Okay, so we'll pick demo guide number 3 as our center curve. 20 millimeters for radius. Okay, and we're going to pick the center and radius option. Okay, center and radius using demo guide number 3. So let's go ahead and hide this one. Okay, so let's go ahead, sweep again, and center and radius. And for our center, saying to use demo guide number 3, which is this one. So we did pick the right one. Okay, so guide number 3, radius of 20. The spine, what is the spine here? Don't see the spine. Okay, so let's go 20 for radius. If 20 doesn't work, we'll try 40. Okay, and preview. And there it is. Yeah, it doesn't look like the picture. Actually, this was what I was expecting to see. Yes, similar to the preview. I don't know where we're getting this. Doesn't look like the picture. Unless I'm missing something here. Okay, either I made a mistake or it's using a different curve. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on moving on this one. All right. Hopefully you'll get it. If not, if you got something like what I did, then maybe we're right and they're wrong, or something's missing. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so we can pick a straight line, give it a radius, but let's go ahead and pick a different curve just to see if we get something different. So let's go to center curve. Let's say I pick this one now. And we should get a tube shape following this curve, and hit OK and watch what we get. Okay, so we also have that option, right? By the way, if you're going to make a straight cylindrical shape, we do have the cylinder option. If you go to extrude, drop down, we do have a cylinder command and a sphere command if you want to play with those on your own. Okay, let me go ahead and hide this one. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now we're going to go with two guides and tangency. Okay, so two guides with tangency. Okay, we're going to pick our yellow guides again. And two guides with tangency surface. Okay, tangent. Okay, tangent to this gray swept surface. Okay, I wonder if it's one that we already created in the past. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this surface using the guide curves. And this is a reference surface. Okay, so once again, two guides and tangency surface. Let's go into the background. There's that gray surface. Let me right click, show. Oh, I forgot, I gotta turn on the geo set. Okay, so where is this? See how this is highlighting? When I select this one, it's telling me, hey, it's in this geo set, which is hidden. So when you need to show it, hide show. And then you need to also, not only do you have to show the geo set, now you gotta show the actual surface. Okay, so there it is. All right, so let's go ahead and create. Let me change the color on this one. This one's just a little too bright. Right click properties. It's a little too light in color. Let's go with the darker color. Okay, whoa, a lot better. All right, so let's go ahead. Go to the next circular sweep. Okay, so two guide curves with tangent surface. Okay. Okay, so sorry, I should have extended this earlier. You can extend this window prompt or dialog box. Okay, so let's go to two guides and tangency surface. Okay, so let's pick this curve with tangency since it's laying on the surface. So we'll pick this curve, this surface, and let's pick this limit curve and preview. And there it is. Okay, warning. Okay, we accept the warning. Okay, so notice it's circular in shape. We didn't need a circular profile. It generates it on its own by picking the circular option. If you don't want the top portion, we can pick the bottom, just like in the tutorial visual. Preview, gives us a warning, and okay, and there it is. Okay, so we got our surface, similar to what we see in the tutorial. Ta-da! Okay, let's go on to the next one. Guide and tangency surface. Okay, so guide and tangency surface, we're almost there. Ooh, this is going to be tougher. All right, so we're going to create this surface on this surface using this as our guide. So it looks like we're going to use the extracted surface and this yellow guide curve to create this little round, almost looks like a fillet surface. Okay, so let's go back. I want to make sure I pick the right. So one guide and tangency surface. All right, so let's go back. Let's hide these here. I'm assuming it's going to be, well, we have a lot of stuff here, right? I'm assuming it's going to be the right-click center. So notice when I went right-click center, it takes me straight to the, it'll line it up in the middle of the tree with respect to the size of the screen. Right there. So all I did was, okay, which one is this one? Okay, so I think I just done, oh, here it is, this one. Right-click center, and there it is. I'm going to show that one. So extrude number 3. Oh, I hit it. See how it's hit twice? It's hitting twice. So I need to show the geoset and show extrude 3. There it is. Okay, is that right? Let's see. Okay, I'm thinking it's this right here. Let me hide this one. Okay, it looks like it's this one here. Yep, that looks right. Looks like it's the extruded surface and this curve here. Okay, so it looks like it's extrude 3 and guide number 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so swept surface. And let's go with one guide and tangency surface. So we'll pick this as our guide curve. And this one is our surface. So guide number 2 will be a guide curve. And this will be our tangency surface. Extrude number 3. And let's see, hit preview. And there it is. Ta-da! It's starting to look like that's the warning. Okay, so what radius are we supposed to input? Dun, 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 dun. Don't see it, don't see it. Okay, I guess we're supposed to use 20 or any other number. Okay, so let's make up a number. Okay, so 20 seems to work fine. Let's keep the one that's in blue. So I'm going to select the blue. It'll turn orange. Or you can just hit next to cycle through. And OK. And there it is. Ta-da! Warning. Sure, we accept it. Let's double click. Double click. And say, hey, we want to trim off the excess. And OK. See, and it trims off excess. If you want to flip it, double click and say, no, I want to keep the other portion. Go to next, cycle through, and OK. And it trims off the other portion of it. And there's that warning window again, which can get annoying. It's just saying, hey, double check. This is what you want. All right, we're almost done. Okay, so limit curve and tangency surface. Limit curve. Whoa, this one looks tougher. Okay, so limit curve and tangency surface, and we'll be done, right? Okay, so we need to look for this geometry. Okay, so it looks like we're going to use this surface here with the round corners and some round curve, I believe. Okay, let's go and find it. Okay, so let me hide this one. Okay, so we're going to use, looks like we're using this one, right? Right click, center graph, the fill number 1. Okay, notice I have the geoset hidden. It's grayed out, so I need to show the geoset. And the fill's already showing. Okay, so there it is. So it looks like we're using this circle and this surface. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's go to sweep once again. Make sure it's the circular option. Let me extend this. Go all the way to the last one. Limit curve and tangency surface. There it is. So I'm assuming it's this limit curve. Oh, there it is. Limit curve. It's labeled correctly. Great. So the circle is the limit curve. And the tangent surface is this one that we already have on. And there's angles and radii or radius. Let's hit preview, see what we get. Bam! Oh, okay, it's even better. It looks like a donut, right? Looks like a mushroom cloud. All right, so I think it's the angle we're using. Let's go down to, let's type in 180 for the angle. 180. Preview. Okay. Ta-da! Okay, let's go to the next option. Do we want to keep the top or the bottom? Well, it's actually pretty cool. I wasn't expecting this. Let's go back to the visual. We're not quite getting exactly what's here. We are getting something out of it, right? Okay, did I miss a guide curve? Did I miss something here? Either way, it looks cool. Actually, it looks better than the tutorial. All right, so we're not quite getting exactly what's on the tutorial, but we got something. Okay, so let me change the angle. Let me drop down to 30 degrees. Preview. Okay, starting to look like the tutorial now. It's not as pretty as it was earlier, right? Let's go to 45. Preview. Okay, that makes sense now. There it is. Okay, so we want to keep the blue portion, the top portion. So select it or just cycle through next and hit OK. And there it is. If you want to trim off the excess, let's go back, double click, and we can trim off. Oh, I guess we cannot trim off. I was expecting this to allow us to trim. Remove cutters. No trim. Okay, I guess we're supposed to leave it alone. There it is. We'll learn how to trim later when we go into operations tutorials. All right, so we're done. We got that surface. Okay, so go ahead and save your work. Okay, so file, save as. Go to desktop, creating surfaces. If you want to give it a different name so we don't mix them up with the others, like circular, right? Soup 1 circular complete. And save. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll take any comments, good ones or bad ones. I'm trying to improve on this online teaching, so I do appreciate the good and bad comments. All right, so see you in the next video.